Just by looking at this turn right now, how's the inside? It's tough? And you can kind of see what's happening already. Braking, 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 slamming right here, stopping, big pause. That's why there's nothing right here. And then, okay, I made it, gas. Okay, so we want to change that. Some are going to struggle to get in this inside, I know that. I want you, when you start coming over this jump, to think using the brakes to maximize traction into the turn and not so much slowing down. Even you got it that last one, but you came over that and clutch was in, you slid A-rod, back wheel was locked up. That's not maximizing traction to the motorcycle to get the bike settled and into the turn. Obviously, the better you are on the face of this jump, as far as compressing and unloading, getting a little bit more height to help out with that distance, you're not gonna have to go as fast. The faster you hit the jump, the harder it's gonna be to make that inside, right? So, a few things I wanna watch you guys do this. If you struggle with that inside, that's okay. We're gonna try to get it some. If you're struggling even to the outside, maybe we start with that and think of what we were just talking about, that you're coming over, and don't think brakes to brake. How can I maximize that feel of the traction to the bike, front and rear wheel, so that I flow into this turn better? Last one was good, A-Rod. And that goes to, like I was talking about, maximizing your braking efficiency for just more traction and not slowing down. When you were, at first, you were thinking stop to get to this inside. Okay, you were pretty good as well. A little long on your back brake, Josh. Same with Billy. You're back to using that back brake as a foot peg, and that's just going to stand that bike up. Whenever Peyton, you came in there, you made it fine, but right when you hit that rear brake, right at that first cone, what happened to the bike? Stood that bike up. Right? And that goes to that mentality of slowing down. And your most aggressive braking is right there at the end. You got it, Pedro, which was good, that last one. Still kind of had that pause because you went to the brakes, and that's not using the downside and into the turn to brake as efficient as possible. So your more aggressive braking was closer to the turn. A-Rod and Cade, go do it for us. Whose turn looked better? Cade? Why? Yeah, A-Rod, it wasn't with the rear brake, but what did he have just past the apex? That front brake, and same thing like we talked about, the back brake, stood that bike up. That was good. Now who was better of those two? A-Rod. He didn't have that pause. And let's see what he says about the two. All right, A-Rod, of those two, which one was better? Why? Trusted it. Okay, perfect. First one, around that, just past the apex, what did you grab? Front brake. And that's good that you felt that, right? Being able to fix something, you got to be able to feel what you're doing. Second one, you flowed so good through it. Then, what did you guys think was cool about how he hit that roller? Wheelied up into that, tapped the top, where Cade actually did something a little different. He wheelied over and dropped into that pocket. So both are actually creative, good that you're able to pick that front wheel. A-Rod precision is very important. Why? Yeah, you miss it and you're just tapping the top. You miss it, sayonara, buddy. You're going to Indonesia. Some of you are using this to slow down. Cam, a few other times, you case it. Yes, it slows you down, but it also unsettles that bike, and a lot of times that back wheel doesn't hit till in here, and then brake right here. You want to actually catch that downside because it gives you an extra 10 feet of braking. When that bike is off the ground because you bounce, you actually lose that. So you think it helps you, but a lot of times it's a negative because the bike's compressing, unloading, and then not on the ground till here. So catching that downside is really important because you get another 10 feet of when the bike is landing and going downward, it helps you brake more aggressively and effectively. All right, let's do it. Climbing out of it. And it's all commitment. You have to commit early that you know you're making the turn. And Logan, like we talked about back there, the second you tap that back brake, that outside arm drops, you fight it, and then it's just clutch front brake all the way through. When you get off that rear brake and you don't bind that bike up, picture perfect all the way through. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to actually take your finger off the front brake. So you're only gonna have your back brake. I want you to feel what it feels like going in there with no front brake. Is it possible? How much does it change? Then we're gonna switch it with just no back brake. See what it feels like, see how the bike reacts. You know, you never know, right? Deegan had to do it in a race and make it work pretty decent. So just so you feel what the difference is, how much does that front brake help me? Is it that much? Can I use a little bit less possibly and still get into that rut, right? Let's go. Okay, what did you notice taking away the front brake? Wanted to climb a little bit more? Not comfortable? Okay. The biggest thing, you still made it a few times, a little bit more slammy, I would say, that you have to hit into that berm a little harder, but you can still do it, right? Actually, Logan, go do it really quick for us. He did it with no brakes.
That's the only time I got it.
With no brakes? So you felt that actually the rear brake only kind of hurt you in a way, right? Because it stood that bike up. That was good that you felt that. Especially when you try to use it to slow down. And that's what so many people do is they go to that rear brake at the last minute, they think, I gotta slow down. And then it just stands that motorcycle up and they barely make the turn and they lose so much momentum. Okay. So you see again, it goes back to what I was saying before we started this section. He just did it with no brakes. You guys were able to do it with just the back brake. If I just tell you to use the front brake, that'll make it even easier as well. So it goes back to a lot of times when you jump this in the morning and you're trying to get in that inside, when you're coming over that, you're thinking about slowing down. You don't need to slow down that much. You just need to maximize how that bike works and the traction it has to funnel into this rut and make the turn. And then obviously be committed, right? When you have a little lack of hesitation, Tommy climbs out. Because that's the same thing as hitting the rear brake, shutting off the power, what's the bike gonna do? It's gonna stand it up. Or if you use the front brake, it's gonna stand it up. You know, it's gonna, yes, a little bit of front brake will put some weight on there, but most of the time when you're using it because you feel that you're going too fast, you're gonna pull it in quite a bit and the bike's gonna wanna stand up. So it's learning to use those brakes to maximize just flow into that turn and then using just smooth power, but getting off the rear brake. Because when you're mashing that rear brake, how much legs are you using, Billy? None, right? So you're all arms. You're out. You don't have any outside foot pressure. You're not driving that rear wheel to the ground. So you're not gonna be as efficient even on there because you're just going from the rear brake halfway through the turn, just moving that foot and putting it on the peg, and there's no efficiency with that. You know, there's no consistency to that. Things are always changing. There's enough changing in moto with the track, with the dirt, with this, you know, bumps for your legs and all of that to be in different positions all the time. Got to have that consistency to braking for the turn or maximizing traction. Done with that, foot placement, position in the right place, and execute that turn. Okay, so front brake for 5, and then you can add in both. Let's go. did, or you went from a great one to, nope, I'm not gonna make it. And that's what I stopped Tommy and told him, once you guys, I can see it right around that cone. When you have that slightest doubt that you might not make it, you hesitate, right? But guess what your bike continues to do? Does your bike stop in that moment? No, it's still moving. So you brake a little bit more, the bike stands up and you don't make it. Where if you change that mentality, is speed so much mentality? Yeah, right? That's 90% of it, if not more. So once you put that in your thought process that I might not make this turn, it's gonna be pausey, it's gonna stand up. Because you're thinking I'm going too fast. You put that thought in your mind. Instead of switch that thought and say, I'm committing. Just like you did that last one. And was it beautiful? Yeah, I'll take that all day long. I'll compare it to so many people. But we're our own worst enemy a lot of times when we come into sections and we think we're going too fast. You get kicked a little funny in a braking bump. Uh-oh, guess what goes into your mind? Oh, now I'm going too fast. And you go to what? The brakes. It messes up that whole turn. Where if you get to a point and no matter what, you're committing to that turn, you're gonna make it 99.9% of the time, and it's going to look so good. And when you have that much speed, when you guys have that speed and flow into the turn, you don't have to be aggressive because you're already going fast. So again, let's go. Same thing that you guys just doing. Let's do it 5 times. Committing no matter what. I don't care if you overjump it. I don't care if you come in at the wrong angle. Whatever it is, you commit no matter what. All right? Right? It was already good, and now you're like, oh, I can get more, I can go faster, I can go, and then what happens? Mistake. When you find that feeling that it feels good, try to get that 10, 15, 20 times, not like, oh, now I can do it better and better. But then that's what happens, and then you take a step backwards instead of building on, this is good, not, oh, I did it good, or really great, and I want even more than great, right? So build on those good feelings.